Dear students, in this video I am going to explain you Act 2 Scene 6. This scene takes place outside Sherlock's house and Jessica, disguised as a boy, will elope with Lorenzo in this scene, taking away Sherlock's possessions, that is his ducats and his jewelry. So let's get started. So in this scene, initially we see Grishanio and Celerino, who are masked. That means they are wearing masks and they are ready for mass procession. Grishanio says this is the penthouse under which Lorenzo desired us to make stand. So Grishanio is saying that this is the roof under which Lorenzo has said us to meet him. Celerino, his hour is almost past. So Celerino says that the time he gave them to meet is almost over and is almost past. On hearing this, Grishanio says, and it is marvel he outdwells his hour. It is marvel, he means it is surprising. Marvel here means surprising. Outdwells here means that he is later. He delays the appointed time. Hour here is the appointed time, no? So outdwell means he is late than the appointed time. So Grishanio is feeling that it is strange that he is late than the appointed time. For lovers ever run before the clock. He says because lovers always come before the fixed or appointed time. So for Grishanio, it is surprising that is later than the appointed time, because lovers, they always come before the fixed time or the appointed time. Now Celerino is trying to prove what Grishanio has said. He said that it is surprising that lovers that Lorenzo is late than the appointed time, because lovers, they usually reach before appointed time. So he's trying to prove that correct now. Both of them will try to prove it correct now. Celerino says, "Oh, 10 times faster Venus pigeons fly to see love bonds new made than they are wont to keep obliged faith unforfeited." See, Venus is you need to know that Venus is god of love. Venus is goddess of love, and according to their beliefs, it was believed that Venus, who is the classical goddess of love, rode in a chariot drawn by doves. So the picture is similar to our Hindu gods. So you might have seen in our ancient epics, if you have seen Ramayana or Mahabharata, our gods, they used to drive in a chariot that were driven by usually horses with wings, or so on. But here this goddess of love is driven in a chariot that is drawn by doves, right? So Venus pigeons here refer to the doves of this goddess of love, that is Venus. So he's saying that doves of Venus are very quick to seal promises that are made by new lovers. So 10 times faster Venus pigeon fly to seal love bonds new made. Means the Venus pigeon flies 10 times faster to keep the promises of lovers who are newly in a relationship. Of new lovers, they fly 10 times faster. So Venus, since Venus is goddess of love, so it was believed that they keep the promises of the lovers. They were known to keep promises of lovers, and they used to deliver messages of lovers. So this was believed about Venus, the goddess of love. So Celerino is saying that even Venus pigeon flies 10 times faster when it has to keep promises of lovers who are newly in a relationship, when they are to seal the promises of made by new lovers, than they are wont to keep obliged faith unforfeited. See, faith here is the promises, marriage promises. So he's saying the lovers are always in great hurry to keep new engagements than they keep the marriage promises unbroken. So the lovers who are in new relationship, they are always in a hurry than those who are in a relationship from a long time, right? So Celerino is saying here that the doves that drive the chariot of Venus, goddess Venus, they fly 10 times faster to keep the promises of made by new lovers than to keep the promises of the lovers who are in an old relation or who are married couples, right? So the even the Venus pigeons flies 10 times faster to keep the promises because of the couples that are in a new relationship. So why is Salarino giving this example? Because he wants to prove that it is surprising that Lorenzo is late. The Lorenzo and Jessica are going to form a new relationship now. They are lovers, and Lorenzo should have been on time. But it is very surprising for him that he is late than the appointed time. So Salarino says that even Venus pigeons, they fly 10 times faster to keep the promises of newly made lovers than they keep the promises of lovers who are of couples who are in a marriage bond or who are in old relationship. And now Grishanio will again give few more examples to prove this correct, that whatever is done for first time or whatever is new is always exciting than whatever is repeated for sometimes. Like whatever is done for first time is always more exciting than it is done for the next time, right? So see, it was the first time of Lorenzo to run away with the lover Jessica, and they were at the phase of starting a new life, new beginning, but he is late than the appointed time. So Salarino has given example of Venus pigeons that even they try 10 times, they drive 10 times faster when they have to keep promises of new lovers than they have to keep the promises of married couples, or the couples who are in relationship from a long time. Now Grishanio will continue this further. He says that ever holds, that means it's always true, who riseth from a feast with that keen appetite that he sits down. So he says here that who rises from a meal as hungry when he sits down to eat. So as we have also experienced, we might have also experienced this, that whenever you go for a feast, you go for a party, you have a very keen appetite, you're very hungry, right? But do you have the same hunger when you return from the party? No, because you've already eaten so much. So when you go for a feast or a party for the first time, you have a keen appetite, means you are very hungry, but you don't come back with the same appetite. You are stomach full and you don't want to eat anything more. So this is the first example that Grishanio gives. Then he says, where is the horse that doth untread again his tedious measures with the unbated fire that he did pace them first? So you can mark the meanings of the words before I explain you. Untread means retrace the steps, means to move on the same path again, to travel on the same path again. Tedious measures here means boring steps. Unbated fire means undiminished spirit. And pace means performed. So what is Grishanio saying here? He's saying that even a horse does not return with same energy and spirit on his return journey as he does when he sets out on the same path for the first time. So what is he saying here? That see, you can read the reference also that's given on the same page, 11 to 14. It's here. He says, where is the horse that travels over the same road on its return journey with the same energy which it sets out? So he's saying, where is the horse that doth entread again, means that travels again, that he retraces steps, that travel again on the same journey, his tedious measures with unbated fire. He's saying, with same energy with which he has set out. He was very excited when he had traveled on that path for the first time, but that is not the same now, because he's on the return journey. He knows what would come next, and where would the path lead the horse. So the excitement is no more. So whenever you do something for the first time, you are always more excited. But that is not the case with Lorenzo. That is why both of them are surprised that he is late than the appointed time. Then he says, all things that are with more spirit chased than enjoyed. So he's saying that all things that exist are more enjoyed on the course of their attainment than its attainment itself. That means he's trying to say that all things of the world give more pleasure when someone is trying to obtain them than when things are actually being obtained. So when you're on path of attaining something, you are on a path of attaining something you like. So you enjoy that, right? But that enjoyment is not the same when you get that thing, right? So here Lorenzo is trying on a path to obtain Jessica, but he is not that excited. Whereas his reaction should have been the opposite. He should have been on time, even before before the appointed time, but he's late than the appointed time. That is why both of them are giving so many examples to prove him wrong, that why is he doing so, and it's really surprising. Then coming to the next, we've already read about three examples. First one, that nobody raises from a feast with the same hunger when he sits down. Second, that a horse does not run with the same energy and spirit on its return journey as it sets out on the same path for the first time. And third, we have read that all things of the world give more pleasure when someone is trying to obtain them than when the things have been actually obtained. Now, coming to the next example, he's saying, how like a yonker or a prodigal the scarfed bark puts from her native bay. So here, the ship is compared to a prodigal. Prodigal means a spendthrift. So when a spendthrift sets out for a journey, he's ready. He's very excited. Similarly, a ship that has to leave its harbor, is very decorated, right? You can write down the meanings here. Yonker means a young man, and prodigal, as you know, is a spendthrift. The scarfed bark means a ship decorated with sort of a bark. That means it's decorated with all sort of sails and flags and all. Puts from her native bay. Puts from her native bay means sail out from the home, from the port. So a ship is compared to a young man or a prodigal because it is decorated and when it's leave its native bay. So a ship leaves the harbor decorated with the flags or decorated with new sails when it's on its first journey. It's very high spirited, like a young man or a prodigal. Then what happens? Hugged and embraced by the wanton winds. So then on the way, the playful winds, they seem to hug or embrace. So it is ruined. The beauty of the ship is ruined because of the winds on the way. Right? So how like a prodigal doth she return? So what happens when the ship returns back on the harbor? So it is like a spendthrift youth who returns back with everything lost, right? So similarly, the ship returns back with over-withered ribs. Over-withered ribs means storm-beaten sides and ragged sails. The sails are also torn out. The white cloth that is put on the ship, that is sails. So the sails are also torn out because of the winds and the storms on the way. Lean, rent, and beggared by the wanton wind. So how does the ship look like now? It looks like as if it's torn and it's damaged and it is robbed of its original beauty by the rough wild winds. So this is another example that Grishanio gives. So he says that a ship, when it leaves its harbor, it's decorated, and it is compared to a yonker or a prodigal. And on the way, what happens? The winds, they seem to be hugging and embracing the sails of the ship. And when it returns back, it is like a spendthrift youth which comes back with nothing left. He has spent everything. When a prodigal comes back from his journey, he has spent everything he has. Similarly, the ship on its return journey is weather beaten and has torn sails, and seems to be damaged and robbed of its original beauty by the rough and wild winds. Here comes Lorenzo. More of this hereafter. So now Grishanio, Salarino sees that Lorenzo is approaching towards them. So he says that we'll talk about this subject later on. Enter Lorenzo. So now Lorenzo enters. He says, "Sweet friends, your patience for my long abode, not I, but my affairs have made you wait." So Lorenzo says here that, "Dear friends, you have shown great patience in my long delay." So he knows that he is late. Abode means delay. And he says that, "It is not me, but my affairs had made you wait." It says that you have been kept waiting because I had some work at hand. When you shall please to play the thieves for wives, I'll watch as long for you then." So he's saying that when it is your turn to steal your wives, I shall wait for you just as long as you have done. So the Renzo, when he enters, he says that, "Dear friends," he thanks them for their patience while waiting for him for so long. He says, it is not me, but my business that has kept you waiting." He says, when it's your time to steal a wife. So why were they waiting? Because he was about to steal a wife for himself. He was about to run away or elope with Jessica. He says that when it's your time to steal a wife, I will also wait as long as you have waited for me. Then he says, "Approach." He says, "Come this way. Here dwells my father Jew. Ho, who's within?" So it seems as if three of them are standing below Jessica's house, and Jessica will appear from the balcony of her house. She's above on the top, and all three of them are standing below. So now he has said that my father-in-law stays here, and he calls out Jessica. He calls out that if somebody is there. Enter Jessica above in boy's clothes. So Jessica has entered above, that means in the balcony. "Who are you?" So now she's asking that who is calling out. "Tell me for more certainty, albeit means although, I swear that I do know your tongue." Your tongue means your voice. He says, "Tell me clearly, though I can swear that I recognize your voice, but still I want you to tell me that who are you." So this is a very feminine trait of Jessica, wherein though she is very sure that it is Lorenzo, but still he wants to hear from his mouth that who he is. "Lorenzo. Lorenzo and thy love." So Lorenzo responds that it is Lorenzo and your love. Jessica. "Lorenzo certain and my love indeed." So Jessica says, "Certainly you are Lorenzo and truly you are my love. For who love I so much?" He says, "Because there's nobody else whom I love so much. And now who knows but you, Lorenzo, whether I am yours?" He says, "But who apart from you knows, Lorenzo, that whether I am truly yours or not?" Because if he runs away, he's successful in his plan. Lorenzo will take Jessica along with her, and Jessica will be only Lorenzo's. So Jessica is saying that who knows better than you that I am only yours, and you are the one who truly knows that I am yours. Lorenzo. Heaven and thy thoughts are witness that thou art. So he's saying that heaven and your thoughts are witness that you are mine. So Jessica, on hearing this, she delivers something from the top. He makes Lorenzo catch a casket from above. He says, "Here, catch this casket. It is worth the pains." So she says, here, catch the casket, it is worth the trouble. Then she lowers the casket, or she makes Lorenzo catch the casket. I am glad it's night. So she's saying that I am happy that it is night. You do not look on me, he says, because you cannot see me. So she's saying, I'm happy that it's night because you can't see me, for I am much ashamed of my exchange. She's saying, I'm embarrassed of my change of clothes. So she's dressed up in boys' clothes and she's embarrassed of that. She's saying that I'm happy that it's night that and you can't see me. But love is blind. But she says love is blind and lovers cannot see the pretty follies that that themselves commit. So pretty folly here means small acts of foolishness. So he's saying love is blind and lovers cannot see small faults they commit. Right? So what is she trying to say here? See, initially she has said that she is ashamed of her exchange, she's ashamed of her disguise, and she is glad that it is night that Lorenzo cannot see her. But in the next line, she says that even if he could see her, lovers are blind and they overlook small mistakes that are committed by the lovers. Right? So even if he could see, he could overlook that she's not looking nice or she's not looking good in dress of a boy. For if they could, Cupid himself would blush to see me thus transformed to a boy. Cupid is god of love. So who was Venus? Venus is goddess of love. And who is Cupid? Cupid is god of love. So he's saying that if they could see, love is blind and the lovers, they cannot see the small mistakes of each other. But she says if they could see, even Cupid would be embarrassed to see her disguised as a boy. Right? Even Cupid would be embarrassed to look at her and be, she would be ashamed of her transform or her disguise as a boy. So he would even blush. Blush means blush with the embarrassment. Lorenzo, descend, for you must be my torchbearer. She's saying, come down because you will be my torchbearer. So on hearing this, Jessica is surprised. She says, what? Must I hold a candle to my shame? She says, should I hold up a candle to show my shameful dress? They in themselves could soothe are too light. He says that the dress is very light and revealing. It has double meaning here. One thing, the dress is very light and revealing, and other meaning that could be made out from this line is that the duty of torchbearer is to expose, to show the path. So as I've already told you in my last video also, while I explained you Act 2 Scene 5, that torch bearers are the one who show path to the person who's wearing a mask. So because this mass procession is usually undertook during night, so the torch bearer, they show the path to the one who's wearing a mask. So he's saying it's duty of torchbearer to expose the way. But then she says that I want myself to be concealed. That is what she'll be saying in the next line too. So she says, why it is an office of discovery, love, and I should be obscured. He says it's the duty of the torchbearer to show the way, to show the path, and I want myself to be obscured, means concealed or hidden. So she doesn't want Lorenzo to see her. But as per the duty of a torchbearer, she has to show everything or reveal everything, even the path to Lorenzo, according to her duty as a torchbearer. So in this extract, initially she is very surprised that she will be a torchbearer to Lorenzo. She says, what? Must I hold a candle to my shame? She says, do I have to carry a light and show myself and show my shameful dress? Then she says that it is duty of a torchbearer to show path. It is the duty of the torchbearer to reveal everything, whereas she wants herself to be obscured or hidden or concealed. On hearing this, Lorenzo tries to console Jessica. He says, you are so sweet, even in the lovely garnish of a boy. So Lorenzo says that you look sweet even in the disguise of a boy. But come at once, for the close night doth play the runaway, and we are strayed at Bassanio's feast. So he's saying that you look even charming in disguise of a boy, but you should come down quickly, for the night which is supposed to hide us is already slipping away. So the night is passing by, and they have to elope in night only. And he says you should hurry up. So one reason that why she should hurry up is that the night is slipping away, and the night is supposed to hide them. So they have to elope in night only, and that's passing by. He says so you should hurry up. And another reason he says this, that the both of them are expected at Bassanio's feast, so they should hurry up. So now Jessica says, I'll make fast the doors and gild myself with some more ducats and be with you straight. So on hearing this, Jessica says that she will lock up all the doors and bring some more ducats and will be soon with him. So gild myself means I will get myself some more ducats. So she goes inside from above, and Grishanio is seen talking now. Jessica is no more there. Now by my hood, a gentle and no Jew. So Grishanio says that I can swear that she is a gentle lady. That means she is a Christian now and no more a Jew. So again, religious discrimination in in that era is being shown through this line, that Jews are not known to be gentle. So by swearing by his hood, Grishanio says that she is a gentle and no more a Jew. She is turned out to be a Christian and no more a Jew. Lorenzo, on hearing this, says, Beshrew me. He says, I may be cursed, but I love her heartily. He says, I may be cursed because she is a Jewess and I love her, but he says, I love her very heartily. He also gives reason why he loves her. He says that I love her because she is wise. If I can judge her, he says that if I judge her correctly, she is wise. And fair she is, if that mine eyes be true. He says that she is beautiful, if my eyes do not deceive me. She is, and true she is, as she hath proved herself. He says that she is very true because she has proved herself. She has kept all her promises and she has done whatever she had mentioned in the letter, where she has actually proved herself to be true. And therefore, like herself, wise, fair, and true, shall she be placed in my constant soul. She says, therefore, with her three qualities of wisdom, duty, and truthfulness, she will be placed in my heart forever. Now Jessica has entered. What art thou come? On, gentlemen, away. So he's saying, well, you have come now. So on, gentlemen, away means now he's telling others that we should move away. Our masking mates by this time for us stay. He says our companions in the mask are waiting for us. So on seeing that Jessica has come, Lorenzo says other gentlemen, that he says, let us leave, gentlemen. Our friends who are masked are waiting for us by now. And they go. So Jessica, Celerino, and Lorenzo, they leave, and Grishanio stays back. And now Antonio enters. He says, who's there? So he's talking to Grishanio now. He's asking who's there. He can't recognize because maybe night has approached. So Grishanio says it's Signor Antonio. So he addresses Antonio as Signor Antonio. Antonio says, Fifi. Grishanio, he's saying, shame on you, Grishanio. Where are all the rest? He's asking, where are all others? All other friends of yours, of them. So when Antonio enters, he says that he asks him, where are others? Then he says, it is 9 o'clock. Our friends all stay for you. He says that it is already 9 o'clock and all our friends are waiting for you. No mask tonight. So it also informs that there will be no mask procession that night. The mask has been cancelled. The wind is come about. He says that the wind is favorable. Bassanio presently will go abroad. I have sent 20 out to seek for you. He's saying since the wind is favorable for the journey, for Bassanio's journey, See, the only means of travel through in those times was through water. So whenever it seemed that the wind is favorable to travel, so they always started with their journey. So he said that the wind is favorable and they should leave for Belmont. So he says we are ready to leave from, as we have read earlier, that Grishani also wanted to accompany Bassanio, so that is why he was looking for him. He says that I have sent 20 out to seek for you, means I have sent 20 men to look for you. So he's saying, what has he told in this extract? First of all, he says that shame on you, Grishanio, because you're late. He's asked him, where are your other friends? He says it's already 9 o'clock and all our friends are waiting for you. He says the mask is tonight and the winds are favorable for the journey, so they should be ready and the journey should be proceeded. On hearing this, Grishanio feels very happy. He says, I am glad on it. I desire no more delight. He says, I want no more pleasure than to be under sail and go on tonight. He says that I want no more pleasure than to sail along with him from here tonight. He is very excited that he will go with the Bassanio and they will leave tonight for the journey to Belmont. So the scene ends here. I hope all of you have understood the scene. In case you have any doubt, you can let me know in the comment section. Thank you so much.